I stood in the dining room doorway holding the dessert plates I'd been asked to clear while my aunt arranged everyone for the family Christmas photo. And that's when my cousin Madison looked at me and said the words that had been implied my entire life. "Lily, you don't need to be in this one. It's for actual family." 12 years of being the adopted niece. The charity case. The reminder of my mother's failures, all compressed into that single moment. But then Grandpa Robert, who'd been silent through 72 Christmases, stood up from his chair. And what he said next didn't just offend me, it exposed a secret that shattered everything my family thought they knew about who they were. "My name is Lily Anderson. I'm 16 years old, and I've been living with my Aunt Carolyn and Uncle James since I was 4 since my mother, Caroline's younger sister, died of a heroin overdose in a motel room outside Atlanta. They took me in, but they never let me forget it was charity, not choice. I was raised as the girl who lives with us, not as their daughter. Their actual daughter, Madison, got the good bedroom, the new clothes, the college fund. I got the converted office, hand-me-downs, and constant reminders that I should be grateful. But Grandpa Robert, my uncle's father, always treated me differently. Better. With a tenderness that confused me because it seemed disproportionate to what I was supposed to be, just the orphan niece. This Christmas I finally understood why. I've always known I was different. Not just adopted different. Second tier. Guest status in my own home. When I was 8, I asked Aunt Carolyn if I could call her Mom. She smiled that tight smile and said, "Oh, sweetie, that might be confusing. I'm your aunt. Let's keep it that way." Madison called her Mom. But I couldn't, because I wasn't really their daughter. At school events, Carolyn would introduce us. "This is my daughter Madison, and this is Lily, my niece who lives with us." Never just "my girls." Always with a clarification. Birthdays were different too. Madison got parties, big ones, with themes and photographers and all her friends. I got dinner at Applebee's with just the family and maybe a small cake. "We don't want to make a big production," Uncle James would say. "Keep it simple." Madison got a car for her 16th birthday. I got a used bike. "You'll understand when you're older," Carolyn said. "Madison is our daughter. We have certain responsibilities to her that are different. Different. Always different." But Grandpa Robert was different too in the opposite direction. He'd sneak me $20 bills. "Buy yourself something nice, sweetheart." He'd ask about my day. Really listen to my answers. He'd take me fishing, just the two of us, and tell me stories about his time in Vietnam. "You're special, Lily," he'd say. "Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." I never understood why he cared so much when his own son and daughter-in-law clearly didn't. The worst part was Madison. She wasn't mean exactly, she was just oblivious. Oblivious to her privilege, to how differently we were treated. "Why do you always get so moody around Christmas?" she asked me last year. "It's supposed to be fun." Fun. While she opened 15 presents to my 3. While her stocking overflowed and mine had a candy cane and socks. This year, Christmas Eve dinner was at our house. The whole extended family, Grandpa Robert, Caroline's parents, various aunts and uncles, cousins. 20 people crammed into our dining room, eating ham and pretending to be the perfect Southern family. I helped serve, as usual. Carolyn always had me helping while Madison sat with the guests. "Lily, can you bring out more rolls?" "Lily, refill everyone's drinks." "Lily, start clearing plates." I was the help. Madison was the hostess in training. After dinner, Carolyn wanted the annual family photo. Everyone gathered in the living room by the Christmas tree, the massive tree that Madison and Caroline had decorated together while I was at my part-time job at the grocery store. "Everyone squeeze in," Carolyn directed, arranging people. "Robert, you sit here in the center. Madison next to Grandpa. James on his other side. Mom, Dad, over here ... double quotes. She positioned everyone her perfect family tableau. I stood to the side, assuming I'd be in the back row like always. The obligatory edge of the frame where I could be cropped out later if needed. But then Madison spoke up. "Mom, should Lily be in this one? It's the family Christmas photo." "For the cards." Carolyn hesitated. "Well, I suppose. I mean, she's technically not family, Madison continued, not unkindly, just matter of fact. She's extended family. Maybe we should do one with just us, and then one with everyone?" My face burned. I felt everyone's eyes on me. "Madison has a point," Aunt Patricia chimed in. "The Christmas card should really be immediate family." Uncle James nodded slowly. "Maybe that makes sense." "Lily, honey, you understand. This is just for the card. We'll take plenty of other photos with you later." There would be no later photos. There never were. I stood there frozen, humiliated in front of 20 relatives who were all nodding along like this made perfect sense. "So, Lily," Madison said, not even looking at me, "you don't need to be in this one. It's for actual family. Actual family." "Not me. Never me." I turned to leave, blinking back tears when I heard the chair scrape. Grandpa Robert stood up from his center position in the photo. At 72, he still had that military bearing, that presence. "Nobody's taking a picture without Lily," he said. His voice was quiet, but had that edge I'd only heard a few times in my life. "Dad," Uncle James started. "We're just trying to... I know what you're trying to do. And I'm telling you, nobody's taking a family photo without Lily because she's more family than any of you understand." Carolyn forced a smile. "Dad, we're not excluding her." You're excluding her," Grandpa Robert interrupted. "You've been excluding her for 12 years. I've watched it. Stayed quiet because I thought you'd figure it out yourselves. But you haven't. So I'm done being quiet." The room went completely silent. "Lily," Grandpa said, looking directly at me. "Come stand next to me." I walked over, shaking, and stood beside his chair. He took my hand. "Before we take this picture, there's something everyone in this room needs to know. Something I should have told you all 60 years ago." Uncle James looked confused. "Dad, what are you talking about?" Grandpa took a breath. "James, you're my son. I raised you. But you're not my biological son." The room erupted in confused murmurs. "What?" Uncle James stood up. "What are you saying?" "Your mother, Patricia, and I got married in 1952. We tried for years to have children. Nothing worked. In 1955, Patricia's younger sister Anne got pregnant. Unmarried. 19 years old. Different father. It was a scandal." He squeezed my hand. "Your grandmother and I adopted the baby. Raised him as our own." "That baby was you, James." Uncle James went white. "That's not possible. You're my father. I am your father. I raised you, but biologically, I'm your uncle." "Your birth mother was Anne. Patricia's sister." Aunt Carolyn gasped. "The sister who died. The one who..." "Yes," Grandpa Robert said. "Anne gave James up for adoption to us, and we never told him. It was different times. We thought it was for the best." He looked at James. "Your biological mother was Anne. The same woman whose daughter you've been treating like a second-class citizen for 12 years. It took a moment for that to sink in. Then I understood. My mother, the one who died of an overdose, was Uncle James's biological mother too. Lily's mother was my biological mother?" James said slowly. "Yes, Anne had you at 19. Gave you to Patricia and me. 24 years later, she had another daughter. Lily's mother, Sarah. Different father, different circumstances. But same biological mother." Grandpa looked around the room. "Which means Lily isn't just James's niece by marriage. She's his biological half-niece. They share the same grandmother, Anne. The same blood. She's as much family as Madison is. More so, in some ways." Carolyn sank into a chair. "I don't understand. Why didn't you tell us?" "Because I thought you'd treat James differently if you knew. And I thought, as he got older, it wouldn't matter. But when Sarah died and you took in Lily, I watched you treat her like a charity case, like she wasn't really family. And I realized you needed to know the truth." He looked at Uncle James. "Your biological mother struggled her whole life. With addiction, with poverty, with bad choices. You grew up privileged because Patricia and I had means. But you could have been Lily. You were Lily. You were the child of an addict who got lucky enough to be adopted into a stable home." James's voice was barely a whisper. "Does everyone know this? Did Mom know?" "Patricia knew, of course. She's the one who arranged it with her sister. She died knowing you'd eventually find out, but she asked me to wait until the time was right." "And the time is right now?" James asked, sounding lost. "The time is right now because I'm watching you exclude your biological half-niece from a family photo. I'm watching you give her scraps while you give your daughter everything. I'm watching you treat her exactly the way Anne was treated. Like she's less than, like she's a burden." Madison spoke up, her voice small. "So Lily and my dad are ... related by blood," Grandpa Robert confirmed. "They share a grandmother. Lily's mother and your father were half-sisters. Different fathers, same mother, Anne." He pulled out his wallet, took out an old photograph. "This is Anne, taken in 1954, before James was born." He handed it to James. I could see it from where I stood, a young woman, maybe 18, dark hair, delicate features. She looked like me. She looked like James. "You look like her." Grandpa said to James. You always have. So does Lily. That's why I connected with her immediately. She reminded me of Anne. Of the young woman who trusted us with her baby, who made the hardest choice of her life. Carolyn was crying now. Why did you let us treat her that way? Why didn't you tell us sooner? Because I thought you'd figure out how to love her without needing to know she was blood, Grandpa said sadly. I thought being a good person would be enough. But I watched you make distinctions. Watched you call her the niece who lives with us. Watched you give her hand-me-downs while Madison got new everything. He looked at me, and his eyes were wet. I tried to make up for it. The extra attention, the money, the time. But I couldn't replace what you should have been giving her. The feeling of belonging. I'm sorry, James said, looking at me for the first time like he was really seeing me. Lily, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Would it have mattered? I asked quietly. If you'd known we shared blood? Would you have loved me then? He couldn't answer. That's what I thought, I said. Madison stood up, walked over to me. I'm sorry too. I was so oblivious. I never questioned why you were treated differently. I just accepted it as normal. Carolyn approached slowly. Lily, I don't know what to say. I've been so wrong. I took you in out of obligation. But I should have loved you as my own. Blood or no blood. But the blood matters now? I asked. Now that you know I'm biologically connected to James, suddenly I'm worth including in the photo. She flinched. That's not. It is. I interrupted. If Grandpa hadn't told you this, I'd still be standing in the kitchen right now while you took your real family photo. The only thing that changed is information. Not me. I'm the same person I was 10 minutes ago. Grandpa squeezed my hand again. You're absolutely right, Lily, and that's exactly my point. You should have been loved and included all along, not because of biology, but because you were a child who needed a family. The biology is just the final proof that they've been wrong this whole time. He looked around the room. James, you were given everything because two people chose to love you despite biology. And you've spent 12 years denying Lily that same gift. Think about that. There was no family photo that night. The dinner ended awkwardly. People leaving early, muttering about the revelations. Before Grandpa left, he pulled me aside. I have something for you. He handed me a thick envelope. Inside were documents, Anne's adoption papers for James, Sarah's birth certificate showing Anne as mother, letters Anne had written to Grandpa over the years. She wrote about both her children, he said. About giving James up, about raising Sarah, about her struggles. I thought you should have these. To understand where you come from. Why didn't you adopt me? I asked. When Mom died. Why didn't you take me instead of letting them? His face crumpled. I wanted to. God, Lily, I wanted to. But I was 70 then. Living on a fixed income. I didn't think I could give you what you needed. I thought James and Carolyn would love you. I thought they'd be better parents than I could be at that age. They weren't, I said simply. I know, and I'm sorry I put faith in them instead of faith in myself. The next few months were strange. James went to therapy. Started researching Anne's life, trying to understand the woman who'd given him up. He looked at me differently now, not as a burden, but as a connection to a past he'd never known he had. Carolyn tried harder. Too hard, maybe. Suddenly buying me things, including me in everything, overcompensating. Madison and I really talked for the first time. She admitted she'd never questioned the inequality because it benefited her. I'm going to do better, she promised. But the damage was deep. Years of being second tier don't disappear overnight. On my 17th birthday, Grandpa gave me another envelope. Anne left some money when she died. Not much, but some. It's been in a trust. I'm the executor. I'm giving it to you now. For college. For your future. It was enough to pay for state school. Not a fortune, but freedom. Also, he added, I've updated my will. Everything I have, the house, the savings, it's yours. Not James's. Yours. Because you're the one who needed an advocate, and I should have been louder sooner. Grandpa, you don't have to. Yes, I do. You're Anne's granddaughter. You're my family. And I'm making sure you know it, officially and legally. My name is Lily Anderson. I'm 16 years old. At Christmas dinner, my family told me I was actual family, that I didn't belong in their photo, in their life, in their definition of what mattered. Then Grandpa stood up. And he didn't just defend me, he exposed a 60-year-old secret that proved I was more family than they'd ever acknowledged. That my uncle and I shared blood through the grandmother he never knew he had. That I was the biological connection he'd been denying while I was right in front of him. But the truth is, the blood shouldn't have mattered. I should have been loved because I was a child who needed love. Because I was there. Because family is supposed to be about choice and care, not biology. Grandpa taught me that. He wasn't my biological grandfather, but he loved me more than the people who were actually related to me. I'm leaving for college in a year. Moving away from this house, this family, this complicated web of blood and obligation and belated guilt. But I'm taking with me what Grandpa gave me, proof that I was always worth loving. That I was always actual family. And that the people who couldn't see it were the ones who were broken, not me. I belonged. I always did. It just took 72 years and one brave man to make everyone else see it.